Hey, what's up, bootcamp students? I figured it could be helpful if I made a video about how to get started on the first homework challenge. This homework challenge is auto-graded, which is actually new to me. It used to be that you would create a repository and deploy it and submit those links, but now we work with an online coding environment and we can run tests automatically on our code and see how well they do and make changes and get feedback quickly. So there's some nice things about the auto grading, but it's different. And it could be a little bit confusing. So let me take you through it. To get started, you would go to Canvas and you would navigate to the modules section, which I've already done by clicking here. And you would scroll down to module one, which is the module we're in. And near the bottom is module one challenge. Go ahead and click into that. That navigates you to this page, which gives you a nice detailed description of the acceptance criteria. And in short, you're going to be modifying a CSS file and an HTML file to make the code semantic and accessible. And it will render a page that looks like this. And you want to be sure that the page isn't modified. I would basically check the rendered version of your code each time you make a change, essentially. So if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this after reading all the acceptance criteria, you can click on this link here, Load Module 1 Challenge in a new window. That takes you to this Ed platform, which is an online coding environment. And here you have the starter code. You have a CSS file and you have an HTML file. Down here is the web preview window, and if you click on it, it loads the web page. You might think that's a pretty narrow, small window, and I would agree with you. If you want to open that in a new tab, you can copy this URL right here and open a new tab and paste it in there. And then you have a nice big separate window for viewing the web page. So you would get started working on your code. And let's say I've maybe made a change or two, and I want to see how I've done so far. I would click on this mark button, and I would go ahead and say, yeah, submit and mark. You can do this as many times as you want. So I click on that. It takes a little while. It's running the tests on the code, and it will give us the results of those tests pretty shortly. Yeah, there we go. So not yet. That means I haven't passed all of the tests yet. So far, I've only gotten 24 out of the 100 possible points. There's a lot of tests here that have not passed. Should have a header element and then a message explaining no header element found, et cetera, et cetera. So here are the individual tests, and they are very helpful for, pointing you in the right direction as far as what you need to work on. So yeah, if I, decided to make some weird change like delete this, I would reload this page, and then sure enough, that top section of the page is gone. So, probably wouldn't want to do that. Probably would want to undo that change. It's good about saving your work. It seems that, if you quit your browser and re-navigate to this page and open this challenge in a new window, you'll still see your workspace here with your up-to-date code. So that's good. It auto saves and all that. Uh, if you find yourself, in a pickle or something and you're just like, I want to start from scratch, there is this option to reset to scaffold. It will make sure that's what you want to do because it's going to restore all of the files to their original starter code state, and you can do that. Uh, if you want to, let's see, how do you close the feedback window? I'm not sure. But what you can do is make the code window nice and big and, sort of shrink down the web view window and have this nice big area to work in. And then in the settings up here, there is a dark mode. So it will look a little less awful and a little more like VS Code or something like that. Um, it's not as feature rich as VS Code, but for this assignment, the simplicity of the assignment, I think working in this online editor is probably the easiest thing to do. So that's basically it. You're basically just going to be modifying these two files, and I can exit out of this full screen mode, run my tests again as many times as needed. And when you're done, you're just done. You basically just close the window. You don't have to do anything. It keeps track of all your submissions. And if you get the green here and 100 points showing that all the tests have passed, you're done, uh, as far as I know. So at this point, you're ready to get started. You can go ahead and stop this video and whatnot. But if you feel like you really want to work on this in VS Code, you totally can. I actually originally recorded this segment trying to show how you can like copy the code and the folder structure into your VS Code, and I think it was just kind of messy. So I think the easiest way to work in VS Code on this project would be to get the starter code from the develop folder, which is located inside of the O2 challenge folder, which is inside of the module one folder. So in the class repo, you'd go into module one and then into O2 challenge, and then there's a folder called develop, and that contains the starter code. I would copy that folder. You could do that, outside of VS Code, just with your Finder or your Windows Explorer. Copy that folder to another location outside of the class repo, rename it, and just work in there. The develop folder has the same setup as this with the HTML and the assets folder and the CSS. And so you could just work with that. And if you had already started, working in here and wanted to switch to VS Code, that'd be fine too. You would just copy and paste your code and just replace the code that's in that develop folder. And then when you're ready to run your tests, you just copy and paste it back into here and run the tests. So I hope that helps. And best of luck to you. All right, take care.